Hey, welcome to the Cave's first ever Cavecast Gamescast. Um, my name's Guffball here with Doogie,
Hello.
and we're going to play through Dark Souls because it's our favourite game, and we thought it was a fitting beginning to our Cave career. So Doogie is going to be our pilot for this session, and we're going to take turns in between episodes. But I think we're pretty much ready to go. What do you think?
Yep, let's go. So, character name? Groove.
Groove. with mismatched capitalization. Yep,
That's
perfect. So I think we're going to be making some sort of dexterity based build that's quite quick and maybe based around two hand and a weapon. But we have to kind of decipher that warrior may be the best start to that because it starts with high dexterity despite being called warrior, which would suggest a strength build. So yeah, warrior it is, I think.
So you just got a really good starting weapon. Like, see if you went for the Wanderer. I really hate the Scimitar, man. I don't think it's moveset at all. So
yeah,
warrior
it is. Yeah. The longsword really does have the edge. In fact, you could play the whole game with the longsword and I'm sure you wouldn't be too mad.
Yeah. Right, I think we agreed on Master Key, didn't we?
Yeah, the Master Key is just one of those gifts that just trumps all the other gifts, and I'm sure we will see why as we move forward, but it does open a lot of doors for freedom in the run, so yeah, Master Key it is.
Right, physique, very slim. Do you know, does this actually mark? Do you think this does any way frames in terms of how much you can get it? I've never...
You would maybe think so, but if Bloodborne is anything to go by, it does say that it doesn't affect anything. So, yeah, I always tend to make my guy like have a really big head for whatever reason, but that's. Yeah, and we're going for the Aragorn look, aren't we? The parted centre with grey hair. Aragorn, son of Arathorn, aka Groove.
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 It's time for a lengthy cutscene.
Enjoy.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark, they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
Such a good cutscene.
Awesome. Awesome to the max.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
Busy in here.
Yeah, how's that? Okay, wonderful.
Right.
It's always, I mean, that cutscene is just so impressive from after you, it's only until you play the game and become familiar with it that you understand how informative that cutscene really is. Like, it sets up the entire world, it sets up all of the bosses and why you're in an asylum.
Yep.
But the thing is, when you first start the game, it's you're kind of oblivious to all of that. It just dumps so much information all at once at you, doesn't it?
It goes from how the world was created, how the big guys got in charge, all about them, and then it's just information overload. But when
So, yeah, it's just information overload.
Right.
Yeah, let's remember that this big boy's jumping around.
And it's him making this noise, because you hear that noise quite a lot through this whole level. But when I first came through this, I had no idea what it was. So easy to miss.
He's a noisy fella.
Mm-hmm. Right, first thing I'm going to do is make sure we can fast roll.
Oh, good call, good call. So, Dougie is now in the menu here, just optimising his equipment here, and I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. But,
where does it actually... Oh, sorry. Where does it actually show you your equip load? So it's here.
Yeah,
so does it need to be 25% to get fast roll?
25%. Yeah,
so we're not
we'll
too far off it. I think we just take off. Let's see. No, not quite. There we go.
Looks good. So fast rolling is just the ability to roll fast, and you achieve that by taking off more of your clothes. So
just like in real life.
Exactly. But yeah, the idea is that the world has kind of turned to shit here. There were lords who found awesome power, built a kingdom, and then unfortunately people began starting to go undead. People stopped being able to die, and all the people who became undead got taken up to this asylum up north, away from the humans, so that they couldn't do harm. Eagle-eyed viewers here might notice something up top here.
Yep.
There he is.
You can see him. You go back up. You see him in full view.
Yep.
And yeah, go in, and what you expect will happen. And
You don't expect it the first time you play this, do you?
no. And what you also think once this happens, alright, this will be a nice wee easy first boss, and then you do that much damage.
Yeah. Did you stubbornly try and fight him the first time you played this?
Aye, of course I did.
So the only real way to get out of that fight is to escape through the gate here. So yeah, great.
Although if you take the starting gift of the black fire bombs, they can pretty much kill them themselves. And you get
That's true.
Yeah, and you get his weapon as well, which is quite nice.
And that's the optimal method for speedrunners who are playing this game, so that they can just get through this area as quick as possible. But that's not for us, Dougie? We like
No.
taking our time and talking about story and looking at every brick and puddle in the game. So
That's it, like this one.
off we go.
Aye.
Yeah, like this wonderful puddle here. The great thing about that puddle is that in the third age... No, I'm joking.
Right, so they give you your starter equipment in little batches here, and then your first difficult encounter is the menu. So, change equipment. Where does the shield go? You kind of have to just assume that the shield icon means it has to go there. So you get your heater shield, put it on. Oh, forgot about adding equipment. So, yeah, I got our thing.
Almost here, if you go back into the menu, Dougie, we'll try and explain this. But on the left, and this doesn't make really any sense, but you've got where the sword is, that's your right hand. Where the shield is, that's your left hand. So you can actually have two different things on each hand at any given time. But you would think that it would be on the immediate right of where Dougie's highlighting. You would put your shield there because it would be left hand, right hand. But no, it's left, two left hands and two right hands, which just confuses and baffles people as they begin this game, but that's just one of many things that's baffling about this game, eh?
Yep.
So now we mean business, now that we're fully equipped.
Yep, we can do some actual damage. And a good staple of the series is the fog wall, where you just have no idea what's coming next. Could be a boss, could be absolutely nothing.
See plenty of those as we move forward, I'm sure.
I mean, first thing you say, we door a wee guy, but we know discernible way in. So
Yeah, you really can. This game really rewards the perceptive, doesn't it?
So we get two
To be
routes.
honest, being perceptive is really the only way around certain parts of this game, you know?
Yep.
Dougie's just opened a shortcut here.
So-
And shortcut's one of those buzzwords in this game, isn't it?
So this is us back here. Some people might think you have to go and fight the boss again, but it's locked by some contraption. So back up we go.
Contraption's such a great word, isn't it?
Aye. You know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And another thing where just being a bit on the ball, you might see that ball, and
Very good.
thanks. That opens up this wee wall here. For our wee pal Oscar.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I were both undead. Hear me out, will you? Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family, thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask, an undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
Alright, unfortunately, Oscar here, who is certainly our best friend that we've encountered so far, and if you remember, it was him who actually dropped the body down into the cell, and that body contained the key for the cell, so it was him that we can thank for our freedom, but unfortunately he's met with a terrible fate here, and from the hole in the ceiling, we can really deduce that he met the demon that we have just met, and it's launched him through the ceiling there, and he's in a bit of a bad way, but not before parting some words of wisdom, which say there is a prophecy that an undead will escape this asylum and go and help defeat the undead curse. And he also gives us an Estus flask, which is quite handy, isn't it, Dougie?
Yep. So that's what lets you heal. You know that I need to, because I've not been hit yet. But you get 5 of them to start with. It gives you a lot of info, just about the concept of being hollow, talking about hurting you after dying. It's a bit nonsensical, and then mention that we're both undead, just in case you didn't notice. You
I
are
think
also.
the Pepperami is a dead giveaway that somebody's an undead.
Aye.
But yeah, dying is not the end here, and someone who dies becomes hollow, and that's what we both are just now. But then you die again and again and again, and eventually you lose your mind, and that's when you become a true danger to all the other people of this world, and that's what he is expecting to happen shortly. So, yep, we hardly knew you, but you were a good friend, Oscar. And
Shame.
it's a shame. That is a shame.
So what we should maybe also do is, we're obviously going to talk about the story as it unfolds, but for those playing it that don't really want to find out themselves, you kind of have to go through item descriptions and look at the descriptions as well. So you press square on the PlayStation, X on the Xbox, you get an extra little bit of info here. So the undead treasure, these dull green flasks, fill with Estus at bonfire, fills HP. The Estus flasks are linked to the Firekeepers. The Dark Tales also make reference an emerald flask from the Keeper's soul. She lives to protect the flame and dies to protect it further. So
Yeah, that's where you get most of your information, isn't it?
yeah, almost all of it. Yep.
Yeah. You actually, it was kind of the first of its kind that most of the story kind of comes from. I mean, a lot of the story and a lot of the gameplay comes from, a lot of the kind of puzzle solving comes from looking at item descriptions. So
Yep.
I can remember, do you remember when Benny started playing this, that he just kept picking up items
Yep.
and just stashed them away without looking at what they do? And it's kind of like, well, in other games, when you pick up an antidote, you obviously know kind of that there is game speak that you can speak, but in this, you pick up an item and it will just disappear into your pack forever. And it's kind of up to you to go and discover what it does.
Yep. So even every key gives you a wee hint. It doesn't really give you much with here, but it just talks about the mysterious night, and that's Oscar shoving a corpse down into the cell. Who was this? What was his purpose? There may be no answer, but one must still forge ahead. It's almost like your objective is on that key, you know?
True. But yeah, we're not used to that, but I think we'll probably take a lot of time just exploring these as they come up, won't we?
Yep. Right, let's forge on.
We're now feeling powerful. We've got our sword, we've got our shield, and yeah. So what Doogie's doing just now, the triangle on the PlayStation, Y on the Xbox will two-hand your weapon, which results in more damage at the expense of your shield. You can still block, but it won't fully block all incoming damage like your shield will. But the extra damage is pretty enjoyable, isn't it, Doogie?
Yep. So
Plus, we're kind of leaning in that direction anyway for the build, so...
yeah, it's something we were talking about with damage reduction there. So again, fighting with the menu here, if you click onto the item and then press square, the shield's most important thing is on the right, so you've got damage reduction %. And one of the good reasons about starting with this class is the heater shield is one of the few starting shields you get at the start where that has 100% physical damage reduction. So anytime you block, it's not taking any health off you, just stamina. But some might be like 90, so you're taking just that little bit of chip damage every time, and it just adds up. So
very psychologically damaging, actually, when you don't have a shield that does. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of, see, when you see your health going down, it kind of takes it out of you psychologically when you're playing this game a little bit. So it just is a little bit of peace of mind when you get 100% damage reduction.
If you've not got 100% damage reduction, you may as well just not use that shield, in my opinion.
So that door there is locked,
Yep.
I believe.
Just prove it. Yep.
It's locked. Not by some contraption this time, just locked.
There's no contraptions.
No.
Right,
Yeah,
and also for the new players, you should be reading these messages because they do like tell you quite important buttons. This one in particular, very important. So RB or R1 while falling does an attack. It's one of the biggest things I missed from Demon's Souls. They didn't have that at all.
Really? I didn't know.
Hello.
There he is. Handsome fella.
And that's why you want to do a plunging attack.
Slowly. About a third of his damage. So we're doing a lot more damage now, but let's pay attention to the way Doogie's positioning himself in this fight. So in Dark Souls, you're often safest if you stay close to the big guys. And I know that's counterintuitive, that you want to keep your distance as a big fat guy flailing his body around, flailing a stick around, but oftentimes the safest place you can be is right up close to him, and it's paying off here.
And even one of the main reasons, if you're sitting here all the time, he's doing attacks that have a lot of reach, but as soon as he hits, you can't hit him. You're too far away. So yep, nice and close. And then, boom.
And two-handing your weapon just kind of accelerated the process there.
Yep.
And if you're good at dodging, there's just no need for a shield. And Doogie showed that off wonderfully. Well done.
Cheers. You also get a wee bit of humanity that I think we'll probably talk about that more in the next area.
Ominous. Yeah, we'll get to that piece of information later, I believe.
Aye.
It looks like we have successfully escaped this gruesome asylum here.
Is it worth walking around here? I feel there was an item somewhere, but I can't
believe
quite
there is
remember.
an item. Yeah, it's there. If you go back to
Where is
where
it?
you were, yeah, on your left there.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Well spotted. Soul of a Lost Undead. So what these do, used to acquire souls, and that's how you kind of level up, but we'll see more of that later. And it just gives you a wee little description. Nothing too interesting for the story here, but souls are the source of all life, and whether undead or even hollow, one continues to seek them. That's actually quite a wee interesting wee tidbit. So the people that are hollow, that are going mental, attacking people, it's to try and get their soul. That's why they don't attack each other.
Well, while we're on the subject, why don't you look at humanity?
Yeah, good idea. So, a rare tiny black sprite found on corpses, used to gain 1 humanity and restore a large amount of HP. This black sprite is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves?
Oh dear. Questions,
And now,
but as for answers.
what I would say is, for how important humanity is to this game, that is such a bullshit description. Do you know what I think?
A little bit. But yeah, we don't really find out too much about humanity other than what you can infer. But in terms of gameplay, actually, it's a bit of a lie to say that it's a large amount of HP. It is full HP. If you click a humanity, it is straight up full HP that you get, which is quite handy. But obviously, they don't regenerate, so you need to be quite careful with them.
Yeah.
But we've got a beautiful little view here, and yeah, you can see that this is one of the most remote locations that you could send a bunch of infected people away from the main kingdom.
Because really, even going up here, there's nowhere to go. Unless...
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
I get chills every time we come here, man.
Yep, me too. This is the now famous Firelink Shrine. We've arrived in Lordran, which is the more populated area of the world. In fact, it's massively populated, but unfortunately, even though undead were corralled up to the asylum, it's still a bit desolate. There's still a little bit of ruin going on, as we're going to discover here. But I think, what do you reckon? Should we call it for episode 1?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good place.
Yeah, and then episode 2 we can deep dive into Firelink Shrine and get on with the game. So
Right, sounds good.
well done, Dougie, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
And
See you later. Bye bye.